My husband's mistress just slapped me in the face. He laughed. She smirked. And in that moment, standing there with tears running down my cheeks and a handprint burning on my face, I thought I had lost everything. But then the door opened. The man who walked in wore a suit that cost more than her entire wardrobe. He looked at my tears, at the red mark on my cheek, and his eyes turned ice cold. "Hello, sweetheart," he said. "Sorry I'm late." My husband went pale. His mistress stopped smiling. Because they had no idea who my father really was, or what he was about to do to them. 30 days later, I owned his business. She was working retail, and he was facing federal charges. This is the true story of how one phone call to my dad turned me from a broken wife into the woman who took back everything. Stay until the end, because the revenge is so sweet, you won't believe it actually happened. Hit subscribe. You're going to want to see how this unfolds. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know, sometimes the hardest truth to accept is that the person you love most in the world doesn't see you the same way anymore. My name is Sarah Bennett, and I need to tell you about the day my entire world fell apart and then rebuilt itself into something stronger. Before we dive in, I want you to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. And please drop a comment telling me what you would have done if you were in my shoes. Your support means everything. Let me take you back 4 years. 4 years ago, I married Daniel Bennett. He owned a chain of luxury car dealerships across the state. 10 locations, hundreds of employees, millions of dollars flowing through his business every single month. When I met him, I was working as a marketing director for a competing automotive company. We met at an industry convention in Atlanta. Daniel pursued me like I was the only woman on earth. Every morning, coffee appeared at my desk. Every evening, flowers arrived at my apartment. He learned that I loved handwritten letters, so he wrote me one every single week for 3 months straight. Beautiful words about how I made him laugh, how I challenged him, how he saw a future with me. I fell in love. Who wouldn't? He was successful, charming, and he made me feel seen. Our wedding was everything a girl dreams about. We got married on a beach in Miami with 200 guests watching the sunset. My dress cost more than my college tuition. And when my father walked me down that sandy aisle, he whispered something in my ear that I'll never forget. "If he ever treats you badly, you call me immediately. Promise me, Sarah." I laughed it off. I actually laughed. I couldn't imagine needing to make that call. Daniel loved me. We were building a life together. We had plans for children, for growing old together, for everything. But life has a way of changing, doesn't it? About 8 months ago, things started shifting. Small things at first. Daniel began working later and later. Dinner meetings, he'd say. Emergency situations at the dealerships. Inventory problems that somehow always happened after 9 o'clock at night. I'm not a stupid woman. I've always trusted my gut. And my gut was screaming that something was wrong. His phone became his most precious possession. He'd take it everywhere, even to the bathroom. He started wearing a new cologne, something expensive and different from what I'd given him for his birthday. And there were receipts for jewelry, expensive jewelry, that never made it to me. When I asked him about these things, he'd kiss my forehead like I was a child. "Baby, you're being paranoid," he'd say. "Running 10 dealerships is stressful. You need to trust me." So I tried. God knows I tried. I pushed down my instincts. I told myself I was being insecure, that marriage meant trust, that I needed to be supportive. Then she appeared. Rachel Price, 27 years old, fresh out of business school, hired as Daniel's personal executive assistant. I met her at our company's summer barbecue 6 months ago. She wore a diamond necklace that probably cost $30,000. I remember staring at it, thinking, what kind of assistant can afford that? She stood too close to my husband. She laughed too loud at his jokes. And when I walked up to join their conversation, she looked at me like I was interrupting something private. "Oh, Sarah," she said with this smile that was all teeth and no warmth. "You look so lovely today. That dress is beautiful. Very classic. Very appropriate for your age." I'm 35 years old. Appropriate for my age. The disrespect was right there in the open, and she didn't even try to hide it. I looked at Daniel, waiting for him to say something, to defend me, to put her in her place. Instead, he chuckled. He actually chuckled. "Rachel has a unique sense of humor," he said, like that explained everything. That night, I cried in our bathroom while Daniel slept peacefully in our bed. I felt invisible. I felt old. I felt like I was losing my husband to someone younger and bolder, and I didn't know how to fight back. My best friend told me to hire a private investigator. My sister said I should go through his phone while he was sleeping. But that's not who I am. I believe in confrontation. I believe in looking someone in the eye and demanding honesty. So 3 weeks ago, I decided to surprise Daniel at his main dealership in downtown Seattle. I told myself I was just bringing him lunch, being a thoughtful wife. But really, I needed to see what was happening with my own eyes. I walked past the reception desk. The girl there knew me and waved. I headed straight toward Daniel's office on the second floor. As I got closer, I heard voices. Rachel was talking to another employee in the hallway, and they hadn't noticed me yet. "She's just in the way," Rachel was saying, her voice sharp and confident. "Daniel knows what he wants. She'll be gone soon, and then we won't have to hide anymore." My heart stopped beating. I swear it just stopped. The other employee saw me then, and his face went completely white. He tapped Rachel's shoulder frantically. She turned around, saw me standing there, and smiled. Not an embarrassed smile. Not an apologetic smile. A cold, calculated smile that said she didn't care that I'd heard everything. "Oh, Mrs. Bennett," she said sweetly. "What a surprise to see you here." I didn't say a word to her. I walked right past her, my hands shaking, my heart pounding, and I opened Daniel's office door. And there she was again. Rachel had somehow gotten to Daniel's office before me, probably through a back entrance. She was sitting on the edge of his massive glass desk like she owned it. Her skirt was too short. Her blouse was too low. And she was looking at something on his computer screen with her hand resting casually on his papers. "Rachel," I said, keeping my voice as calm as I could manage. "I need to speak with my husband. Alone. Please leave." She didn't move. She actually tilted her head and looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "I'm in the middle of something important," she said. "Daniel needs me for a presentation." Daniel wasn't even in the room. He was in the conference room next door, finishing up another meeting. This woman was sitting in my husband's office, acting like she had more right to be there than his own wife. Something inside me broke. Or maybe it woke up. "Get out," I said, my voice sharper now. "I don't care about your presentation. Get out of this office right now." That's when she started her performance. Her eyes went wide. Her voice went high and panicky, loud enough for everyone outside to hear. "Why are you threatening me?" she shouted. "I'm just doing my job. Why are you always harassing me?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Harassing you? I've barely spoken to you. You've been sending me threatening messages," she said, her voice even louder now. "You've been following me around. I've been documenting everything, and I'm scared." The office door flew open. Daniel rushed in, and I felt relief flood through me. Finally, he would see through this act. Finally, he would defend his wife and tell this woman to stop lying. But when I looked at him, I didn't see concern for me. I saw annoyance. "Sarah, what's going on?" he demanded. "Why is Rachel crying?" "She's not really crying, Daniel. This is ridiculous. I came to see my husband, and she's the one who—" I didn't get to finish. Rachel walked right up to me, fake tears streaming down her face, and slapped me hard across my left cheek. The sound echoed through that office. I felt the sting spread across my face like fire. I was so shocked I couldn't even move. This woman had just hit me, and there were people standing in the doorway with their phones out, probably recording everything. And Daniel, my husband, the man who promised to love and protect me, he laughed. Not a big laugh, but this dismissive chuckle like it was all some silly misunderstanding. Okay, everyone calm down," he said. "Not to Rachel. To me. Sarah, you're overreacting. Rachel's been under a lot of stress lately, and maybe you came in a little too aggressive." I touched my face. Felt the heat there. Felt the humiliation burning even hotter than the slap. "She just hit me, Daniel," I said quietly. "She put her hands on me, and you're telling me I'm overreacting?" He rolled his eyes. Actually rolled his eyes at me. "It was barely a tap. You're being dramatic. Maybe you should go home and calm down. You're embarrassing yourself in front of my employees." Embarrassing myself. Those were his words. Like I was the problem. Like I was some crazy, jealous wife causing a scene. I could see Rachel behind him, wiping away her fake tears. But there was this little smirk on her face that she thought I couldn't see. She knew. She knew she had won. She knew Daniel had chosen his side, and it wasn't mine. "You don't even care, do you?" I said, my voice breaking. "You don't care that your mistress just hit your wife." The room went completely silent. Everyone stopped moving. Daniel's face went hard and cold. Don't make accusations you can't prove, Sarah, he said quietly, dangerously. And yes, Rachel and I have been seeing each other. We're adults. We have a real connection. Maybe if you spent less time being paranoid and more time being the woman I married, we wouldn't be here. There it was. The truth I'd known deep down but hadn't wanted to face. Hearing him say it out loud, in front of his employees, with his mistress standing right there, it shattered something inside me. Or maybe it freed something. Rachel stepped closer, confident now, emboldened by Daniel's words. He loves me, she said softly, just loud enough for me to hear. He bought me everything I'm wearing. He takes me to the luxury hotels when he says he's checking on inventory. That necklace you were staring at? 6-month anniversary gift. Our 6-month anniversary. You're just the wife on paper, Sarah. I'm the woman he actually wants. Daniel didn't stop her. He just stood there with his arms crossed, like he was waiting for me to accept defeat and leave quietly. The prenup is solid, Sarah, he said. You signed it. You remember? You leave this marriage with nothing. So maybe you should think very carefully about what you do next. I felt tears streaming down my face. Felt the handprint burning on my cheek. Felt the weight of 4 years of marriage, of trust, of love, crushing me into the ground. And then I heard it. The office door opening again. Everyone turned to look. A man walked in, tall and distinguished, wearing a perfectly tailored suit. He had gray hair, kind brown eyes that were currently assessing the entire situation, and the kind of presence that makes a room go quiet without him saying a single word. He looked at me, saw my face, saw my tears, and his jaw tightened. "Hello, sweetheart," he said gently. "Sorry I'm late." Daniel squinted at the man in the doorway, confusion written all over his face. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded. "This is a private office." "Security." The man smiled, but there was nothing friendly about it. "Security won't be coming, Mr. Bennett," he said calmly. I told them I was expected. He walked over to me, pulled out a handkerchief from his pocket, and gently touched my face where the handprint was still burning. "Did someone hit you?" he asked softly. I nodded, unable to speak. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. He turned to face Daniel and Rachel, and I watched my husband's face trying to place him, trying to figure out who this man was. "My name is Thomas Hartley," he said clearly. "I'm Sarah's father." The color drained from Daniel's face. Thomas Hartley, real estate developer. But more importantly to Daniel, majority owner of Hartley Investment Corporation, the company that held the loans on 6 of Daniel's 10 dealerships. The company he owed millions of dollars to. The man whose approval he'd need for his planned expansion into California. "Mr. Hartley," Daniel stammered, suddenly trying to rearrange his face into something respectful. "I didn't know. Sarah never mentioned. This is just a misunderstanding between my wife and me." "Your wife," my father said slowly, his voice like ice. "Who has a handprint on her face? Your wife who's been crying. Your wife who called me a month ago, worried about your behavior." He looked at Rachel, who had lost all her confidence and was now standing very still. "And you are?" I'm his assistant," Rachel whispered. "His assistant who assaulted my daughter," my father said. "The same assistant who, according to the financial records my team has been reviewing for the past 4 weeks, has received over $200,000 in gifts and cash transfers from Mr. Bennett's business accounts. Very interesting use of corporate funds." Daniel went pale. "What are you talking about? What financial records?" My father smiled, and it was terrifying. "When Sarah called me last month, worried about your late nights and your suspicious behavior, I did what any father would do. I had my people look into things. We have photographs of you and Miss Price at 7 different hotels over the past 4 months. We have credit card statements showing purchases of jewelry, clothes, and a car, all for her. We have documentation that you've been using company money for personal expenses, which technically makes it embezzlement since you're spending money that belongs to your business partners and investors." He pulled out his phone. "And we have security footage from this very building from 3 different cameras showing that Miss Price was the aggressor today. Very clear footage of her striking my daughter." "That's impossible," Daniel said, but his voice was shaking. "You can't have. I'm a real estate developer who's been in business for 40 years, Mr. Bennett," my father said. "Did you really think I didn't have resources? Did you think I'd let someone hurt my daughter and do nothing about it?" My father tapped his phone screen. "I've already sent everything to your business partners and your board. They received the files about 30 minutes ago. I imagine you'll be getting some calls very soon." Daniel's phone started buzzing. Then buzzing again. And again. He looked at the screen, and I saw pure panic spread across his face. Rachel tried to move toward the door, but my father held up one hand. Miss Price, I wouldn't recommend leaving. Security is waiting in the hallway. Not Mr. Bennett's security. Mine. You'll want to stay right where you are. This is insane. Rachel shouted, her fake tears gone, replaced with real panic now. I didn't do anything wrong. He pursued me. He said his marriage was over. You assaulted my daughter, my father said flatly. That's criminal battery. The video evidence is very clear. As for Mr. Bennett's pursuit of you, I'm sure that will be an interesting defense when you're both dealing with fraud charges. I found my voice then. It was steady, stronger than I expected. I gave you chances, Daniel, I said. So many chances to be honest with me, to respect me, to remember who I was when you married me. I looked at Rachel. And you? You thought you won something. You thought you got a prize. Congratulations. You got a man who lies, who cheats, and who steals. Daniel tried to grab my arm. Sarah, wait. We can fix this. Your father doesn't understand the whole situation. Don't touch her, my father said, his voice like steel. You've done enough. He stepped between us. Here's what's going to happen, Mr. Bennett. My company holds the loans on 6 of your 10 dealerships. The downtown location, the 2 waterfront properties, and the 3 suburban locations. We're calling in those loans. Full payment due in 30 days or we foreclose. You can't do this, Daniel whispered. Those locations are my entire business. I know, my father said calmly. Consider it the price of putting your hands on my daughter. Oh, and that prenup you're so confident about? My lawyers have found 8 violations on your end. Adultery, financial misconduct, and misuse of marital assets. It's void. Sarah gets 50% of everything in the divorce. And given what you're about to face legally, she'll probably end up with significantly more. I watched Daniel's world crumble in real time. His phone kept buzzing. Business partners, investors, probably his lawyers. Rachel was crying real tears now, ugly tears, begging my father not to press charges. The office that had been full of people filming and whispering was dead silent now. My father put his arm around me. Let's go, sweetheart. You don't need to be here anymore. As we walked toward the door, I heard Daniel call my name one last time. His voice was desperate, broken, nothing like the confident man who'd laughed at me 20 minutes earlier. I didn't turn around. I didn't look back. I just kept walking, my father's arm steady around my shoulders, toward the elevator, toward the parking lot, toward whatever came next. In the car, I finally broke down. All the tears I'd been holding back, all the pain and humiliation and anger, it all came pouring out. My father didn't say anything. He just drove, one hand on the wheel, the other reaching over to hold mine. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He asked quietly when my crying had subsided to hiccups. Why did you wait so long to call me? I wiped my eyes. Because I felt ashamed, I admitted. Because I thought maybe it was my fault. Maybe I wasn't pretty enough anymore, or interesting enough, or supportive enough. Maybe if I'd tried harder, he wouldn't have. Stop, my father said firmly. Sarah, look at me. I turned to face him. His eyes were gentle but serious. What your husband did has nothing to do with you, he said. Nothing. You are brilliant, beautiful, and strong. He didn't cheat because you weren't enough. He cheated because he's selfish and weak. Do you understand me? I nodded, fresh tears spilling down my cheeks. When you called me 4 weeks ago, he continued, you sounded so small, so defeated. That's not my daughter. My daughter is a fighter. So I made some calls, did some digging, and I found out exactly what kind of man Daniel Bennett really is. What happens now? I asked. Now you let me handle the legal side, he said. You focus on healing. You focus on remembering who you are outside of being Daniel's wife. The next few weeks were a blur. My father's lawyers moved fast. The fraud investigation began immediately. Daniel's business partners were furious about the misuse of company funds. The photos of him with Rachel went public, and suddenly everyone in the automotive industry knew what kind of man he was. Rachel lost her job within 48 hours. The criminal battery charge meant she had to hire a lawyer she couldn't afford. All that expensive jewelry Daniel had bought her got repossessed because it turned out he'd used business credit to purchase it. Daniel tried to call me 17 times in the first week. I blocked his number. He sent flowers to my father's house where I was staying. I threw them away. He even showed up at my father's office building, begging for a chance to explain, to apologize, to make things right. My father had security escort him out. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Daniel's lawyers tried to argue that the prenup should stand, that my father had manipulated the situation, that I had somehow orchestrated everything. But the evidence was overwhelming. The affair, the embezzlement, the financial misconduct. It was all documented, photographed, recorded. During one particularly nasty court session, Daniel's lawyer tried to paint me as a vengeful wife who had used her wealthy father to destroy her husband's life. My lawyer, a sharp woman in her 50s, stood up calmly. "Your Honor, my client's father didn't destroy Mr. Bennett's life. Mr. Bennett destroyed his own life by committing fraud, engaging in an affair, and allowing his mistress to physically assault his wife. Mr. Hartley simply brought those facts to light. If Mr. Bennett's life is destroyed, it's because of his own choices." The judge, an older man with kind eyes, nodded. "I agree. The evidence is clear. The prenuptial agreement is void due to multiple violations. Mrs. Bennett is entitled to 50% of all marital assets." Daniel looked like he'd aged 10 years. His dealerships were failing. His reputation was ruined. His business partners had cut ties with him. And now he was losing half of everything he owned. But I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. For years of my life, for years of loving someone, believing in someone, building a life with someone, and it had all been a lie. One evening, about 2 months after everything happened, I sat with my father on his back porch. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Calling me? Fighting back?" I thought about it for a long moment. "No," I said finally. "I regret staying quiet for so long. I regret ignoring my instincts. I regret letting him make me feel small. But calling you? Fighting back? No, I don't regret that at all." He smiled. "Good. Because you deserve better, Sarah. You always have." "I loved him," I whispered. "Even after everything, part of me still remembers loving him." "Love doesn't mean accepting disrespect," my father said. "Love doesn't mean letting someone hurt you. Real love is respectful, honest, and kind. What Daniel gave you wasn't love. It was control." He was right. I knew he was right. But knowing something and feeling it are two different things. "What do I do now?" I asked. "Who am I if I'm not Daniel's wife?" My father put his arm around me, just like he'd done that day in Daniel's office. "Now you figure that out," he said. "And I'll be right here while you do." 3 months after that terrible day in the office, the divorce was finalized. I got half of everything, which ended up being more than Daniel had claimed he was worth. Turned out he'd been hiding assets, and my father's financial team found every single one. The dealerships that my father's company had foreclosed on, he offered me first chance to buy them. With the divorce settlement and a business loan, I bought 3 of them. I'm sitting in what used to be Daniel's main office right now. The big glass desk is mine now. The view of downtown Seattle is mine. And the business, or at least a significant part of it, is mine. It's been 9 months since that day. 9 months since Rachel slapped me, since Daniel laughed at me, since my father walked through that door and changed everything. Daniel lost almost everything. The fraud charges, the divorce, the public scandal, it destroyed him. He's facing federal charges for embezzlement, and his name is poison in the automotive industry. Last I heard, he's working as a sales manager at a small used car lot on the outskirts of the city. Not as the owner. As an employee. Rachel is working at a department store, selling cosmetics. All her expensive jewelry was repossessed. She's still dealing with the legal consequences of assaulting me, and she has a criminal record now that follows her everywhere. I should feel happy about that. I should feel victorious. But mostly, I just feel free. I've rebranded the 3 dealerships I bought. They're now called Hartley Automotive, named after my father. And I've implemented something new. 10% of our profits go to organizations that help women leave abusive relationships and rebuild their lives. Because that's what I was in, even though it took me a long time to see it. It was abuse. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the public humiliation. It was emotional abuse, and I let it happen for too long because I believed in my marriage vows. Because I thought love meant fighting for someone no matter what. But my father taught me something important through all of this. He taught me that dignity isn't something someone gives you. It's something you claim for yourself. It's something you protect. He taught me that real power isn't loud or aggressive. It's quiet and strategic. It's knowing when to fight and knowing how to fight smart. And most importantly, he taught me that no matter how old you are, no matter how independent you think you are, sometimes you need to ask for help. Sometimes you need to call your father and say, I need you. That phone call I made to him 2 months before everything exploded, when I was crying in my car outside Daniel's dealership, watching him through the window with Rachel. That phone call saved my life. Not literally, but emotionally, spiritually. My father answered on the first ring. Sarah, what's wrong? Dad, I said through my tears, I think Daniel is cheating on me. I think he's been cheating on me for months, and I don't know what to do. Where are you right now? He asked, his voice immediately alert and focused. I'm sitting outside his dealership. I can see him through the window with his assistant, and Dad, the way he's looking at her. That's how he used to look at me. Listen to me very carefully, my father said. You're going to drive to my house right now. You are not going to confront him. You are not going to do anything. You're going to come here, and we're going to figure this out together. Okay, I whispered. That conversation started everything. My father hired investigators, financial analysts, lawyers. He built a case against Daniel brick by brick, evidence by evidence. And when the moment came, when I needed him most, he was there. I've learned so much these past 9 months. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I've learned that I'm good at business, really good at it. The 3 dealerships I manage are already more profitable than they were under Daniel's leadership because I actually care about the employees and the customers, not just the money. I've learned that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. I have dinner with my father twice a week. I've reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. I've started taking painting classes, something I'd always wanted to do, but Daniel said was a waste of time. And I've learned that my worth isn't determined by whether someone loves me. My worth is inherent. It's mine. It always was. Last week, I ran into Daniel at a coffee shop. It was the first time I'd seen him in person since the divorce was finalized. He looked tired, older, defeated. For a moment, our eyes met, and I saw him start to walk toward me. I didn't run. I didn't hide. I just stood there, holding my coffee, and waited. Sarah, he said quietly. You look good. Thank you, I said simply. He started, then stopped. I'm sorry. For everything. I was stupid and selfish, and I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering love. Just nothing. I hope you figure things out, Daniel, I said. And I meant it. Not because I forgive him, but because holding on to anger was only hurting me. I walked past him and out the door, back to my car, back to my life, back to me. So that's my story. That mistress thought she won something. My ex-husband thought he was untouchable. But they both forgot the most important thing. Never underestimate a woman who knows her worth. And never, ever underestimate what a father will do to protect his daughter. If this story meant something to you, I want you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. And comment below. Have you ever had someone underestimate you? What happened? I read every single comment, and your stories matter to me. Remember this, know your worth. Protect your peace. Ask for help when you need it. And never, ever let anyone make you feel small. You are enough. You always were. You always will be. Thank you for listening to my story.